to the Space Game Junkie podcast. And my microphone is working. Yay! I, as always, am your co host, Brian. And joining me, as always, is your co host, Jim.
He who dies with the biggest dice sack wins.
Okay. Okay.
Obviously, you weren't a role player in
I,
your younger days
I,
because
I
you
did.
would know.
I started role
But
playing in college.
okay,
And so I was late to the game. And I've
yeah,
actually
but social status is determined by how big of a sack of dice you carry around.
Oh, well, I had
Like
a
if you have a
whole.
Crown Royal bag, that means even cooler,
Oh,
right?
I didn't have a Crown Roll bag. I actually got a big Tupperware thing and filled it with about $50 worth of dice. She's got tons and tons of different types of dice.
Oh, so you were just sort of a starter kit.
Well, I guess it's a huge thing of dice. Just a massive, like hundreds of pieces. Hi everybody. We doing something a little different this week. We are talking to our guest, Stephen A. Rogers. Hi, Stephen.
Howdy, howdy. How y'all doing this evening?
Hopefully everyone's great. I know I'm great. How are you doing?
Oh, doing all right.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time out to talk to us because you had kids to get out of the house and everything.
Yep.
Where are you? Because you have I noticed an accent, so I just gotta ask where are you calling from?
Well, I'm talking to y'all from Norman, Oklahoma this evening.
Oh, Oklahoma. I've been
Yep.
through it once. It was a lovely
Yeah.
state. That was where I first saw the big sky. It was very pretty. But we are here to talk to Stephen about it's space game related. He's got two space game related pen and paper role playing games that I found out about actually pretty much by accident. I was on the Wing Commander CIC, WCnews.com, which, folks, if you like Wing Commander and you haven't been to this site, they've been around. God, how long have they been around? Like a
15
decade?
years. 15. Coming up on 15, yeah.
So long, yeah. They've been
Yep.
around so long, and it's the go-to place for anything Wing Commander related. So I was on there one day because I have an RSS feed and I visit it regularly and stuff. And they talked about this add-on you were working on for it. I think it was which one was it? The Enzo? What's it called?
Enyo?
Enyo. Yes, they were talking. I think they
Yes.
were talking about Enyo. At a role-playing game, I'm like, "Brr, brr, brr, brr? What? Never heard of that. So I, of course, went right to Lulu, found the PDFs, and started reading. And they're big, guys. They are big. They're. Oh my God.
What
they're
is
big.
this, like 1,000 pages or so?
The Wing
Uh,
Commander one. Sorry, go ahead, Steven.
yeah, the Wing Commander one is where are my hard copies? It's something like 1,600 pages total between the two volumes of the hard copy. It's like 1,100 pages long in the PDF version. It was actually originally intended to be just a single volume, but it was so big that Lulu wouldn't accept it as a single volume. So I had to split it up there at the end.
It was funny. I was wondering about that because I got the hardcover versions for my birthday, and they're massive, by the way. You can find these over at lulu.com, folks, if you want to go there and look up Stephen Rogers. It's all there. But the books are massive, and it's kind of funny because the first volume is called the player volume, I believe, right? And then the
Yep.
second volume is the Game Master volume. And
Mm-hmm.
it's basically one large book, and the chapters are numerically ordered. It's just they split it in two because it's just so. That thing weighs like 10 pounds. Between the
Yep.
two books, it weighs like 10 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So how much was it?
Oh,
How
the
much? How much for the hard copies?
Yeah, the hard copy.
the Wing Commander ones total between the two volumes are about $70, and the Starflight one is about $34
Mm-hmm.
to get those printed, and they are nice. I'd honestly never heard of Lulu before this, so I was a little, I was a little like, okay, I don't know who these people are. I don't know what the quality is going to be like, when you get something like this. but they're really, really well done. I mean, they feel really solid. It's good quality paper.
Is it like nice glossy pages or
They're a little
is it?
glossy. They're not too thick, so it turns well. It doesn't bend the spine too much. But yeah, they're really, really nice. I really dig them. So once I found out about this, I like just started reading, and it took me a while to read them because they're big. I mean, I usually don't spend that much time in the can, but because of these,
Yeah, you
I,
know,
I
like when your legs go numb, you've been there
yeah,
too long.
like I can't feel my foot
Well,
anymore.
especially if you got a 5-pound book sitting on your lap. Yeah.
Exactly. So it was great reading because not only do you have these great RPG systems, but there's just so much detail about the universes as well, which I want to talk to you about, like where you got all this detail and everything, because it's fascinating. So let's start at the beginning. When did you start working on these, and how did you get the idea to create them?
Well, let's see the very beginning. First of all, the Starflight one came first,
Okay.
and it's not that actually was not the very first RPG I'd ever written, the RPG system.
Hmm.
Uh, I had it's a very very long story if I tell it completely in full, but basically the year or two before I started working on Starflight, I had been working on a different RPG, one that does actually involve some of the independent writing that I was doing. I was actually creating another whole other universe for myself, which I call the Anacostia universe. It's based after a main space station that's in that universe. It's another space opera type, and I based that RPG uh, off of the third edition of Dungeons and Dragons. You won't find this anywhere else. Um, so it took me about 2 years to finish working on it. Had all my species and all the core rules and stuff like that, and got done with it. Looked at it, played with it around a little bit, and I was like, oh, this is okay. But it plays like D&D in space, and you expect that because it's based off of third edition D&D. So earlier, I was interested in seeing if it would withstand a change in scenery. And I had recently come across the Starflight 3 project, which was going on real strong there about 99 through about 2003. It kind of died out after that.
That was
But
yeah. Oh my God. Sorry, but that was like, what? No. What? Do you know what happened there? Because they never really explain why the project just ground to a halt.
my understanding of that was that it was due to some creative differences between the three guys who got started with that. I guess that was who was that? I've got them there in the RPG actually. Brian Linton, Adam Schillinger, and Patrick Mead. Those were the three guys who started Starflight 3 as a project. Got the permission from Rob McConnell and Binary Systems and all that. Um, they got it started. They got going good with it. They had a lot of code build up. But one thing they never actually did they wrote down anywhere in any one single spot was their design document. And they didn't write that down in the design document in any one spot. It was all handled through emails between these three guys. And then I think it was somebody suggested they do the whole thing as 3D. And that was pretty much the linchpin that happened. And all three of them left all at once. There were no notes left behind or anything like that. And everybody was kind of here left. Okay, what does this piece of code do? What does this do? What does this do? Nobody knew what this does, and all their experienced programmers were gone at that point. And that was about the time I came onto the scene. I came across Starflight 3 because I was looking for the original Starflight 1 and Starflight 2. See if I could find it online because these were games I owned when I was back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I had recently, about 2003, 2004, I had just then discovered DOSBox, and I wanted to play the games. So,
Thank God for DOSBox, right?
DOSBox is awesome.
Oh, so awesome.
Yep.
Big love for DOSBox around here.
Oh yeah. Many a childhood memory relived thanks to DOSBox.
And it's gotten so stable. Like I remember the first time I tried to run TIE Fighter on it.
Mhm.
and it was just chug, chug. It was like 3 frames per second, chug, chug.
Mhm.
And this is with the 320, graphics even.
Mhm.
Um, and now it runs it beautifully. So
Yep.
I love those guys because they just keep improving upon the thing.
I've actually
This.
been playing TIE Fighter of late.
Oh,
Just for,
really?
yeah, just for the heck of it. Found a patch that would let you run it on Windows 7. So, and I had the collector's CD-ROM edition of that already anyway. I had that one, but not X-Wing. But I always kind of like TIE Fighter better. I don't know.
Well, it's a better game. Yeah,
Yeah, and Dark Side of the
definitely.
Force and all that. It's good to be the bad guys.
I know, right? Who thought it would be so like when I first
You
heard
well,
about it?
it's not as good as dumb. Yes. Okay.
No, when I first heard about it, I'm like, why would I want to be the bad guys? And then you start playing, and you're like, oh yeah, this isn't so bad. This is great, actually. Down with the rebels.
Well, what's interesting is, because the bad guys in the movie, they're always just the mustache twisting villain, and you don't really get to see behind the curtain. And then you find out that they have motivations other than just like, hey, let's go out and be evil. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's what's always been interesting to
Actually,
me
doing
about the
stuff,
bad guy.
inspecting the ships and stuff. Yeah. Trying to maintain law and order. Yes.
Yeah, and inspecting lots of cargo. For
I was talking about Starflight. What?
so we got sidetracked.
Yeah. What was your question again?
Oh, we're basically like how the project got started.
Right. Okay. Well, it was when I got involved with the Starflight 3 project. There was a guy on the forums who was interested in creating a D20 um, RPG, and his name was Jason Horner. He and I started talking back and forth because I have a system. I'm kind of interested to see if it would withstand a change of scenery. Let's see what we could do about adapting this to Starflight, and that started. We started talking back and forth between the two of us, and you know, um, thinking about how certain aspects of the mechanics would work, like how would trading work, how would combat work, this sort of thing. See what we could do to adapt what we had.
About
And
what year was this?
this would have been about 2005.
Okay.
In fact, the exact date, I can give you the exact date, was June 2nd, 2005. That was the day I started work in earnest on the Starflight role playing game. I know that because the Starflight 3 site has been down for about a year. I just happened to check this morning and it was all back up. So I was like, hey, I could talk about that on the podcast tonight.
Huh.
So, and the very first thing that I worked with was actually the prices of trade goods in the game. Well, I was thinking that once we got into Starflight, we started, saying, okay, this is going to work. This isn't going to work. Let's change it. Let's start rearranging. This is a project I got started with, thinking maybe a year, maybe a year and a half to finish up. My logs show it was April 6th, 2010, whenever I finally sent the proofread versions off to Lulu. So it took 5 years to write the Starflight game.
Wow.
Yeah. 5 years worth of work, and
So
a
how did
lot
it
of
make the
stuff.
transition between being a D20 to a D% or D100?
Well, that was actually Jason's suggestion. He got to fiddling around with it, and we were trying to create something that was actually had kind of the same feel as the original Starflight game, and trying to make that compatible with something like D&D, where you've got like 6 attributes, um, and who knows how many skills and stuff like that. Trying to make them compatible with one another, he came to a determination pretty quickly that they just weren't going to work. And he suggested let's try a D percentile system. And I said, oh, well, okay, I guess we could go ahead and change that around. Um, I don't know how that would work with trying to make it a Starflight type system. That actually worked out pretty well. We were able to change. I was able to take the 250 point scale for the different attributes that you have in Starflight. Like science, you can have up to 250 points, and
Right.
engineering and all that. just basically turn it into a dice modifier, and so every 10 points that you have in a certain attribute, it turns into an extra point that you get on the dice. So and then that gets compared to a hit difficulty. And that's basically the way things work in D&D, is that you have your dice, your skills and attributes modify that die roll, and you try to be a certain number. And that actually worked out pretty well.
Yeah, that was one of my questions since we're on that topic. How much work was it to convert the RPG system in Starflight to a pen and paper RPG system that used dice? You just described what sounds like some of it, but I'm sure more work must have been involved.
There was a a lot more work done. First of all, finding all the information out was tricky. We had things that people had printed out and put on the internet over the years, stuff from various clue books and stuff like that. But of course, that stuff's only so reliable. There was another member on the Starflight 3 boards, a guy by the name of Stephen Weirds, who runs a website, starflight.com, starflt.com.
Oh yeah, I know that site.
Yeah, that's his site.
Oh.
He actually cracked open the hex code and was able to, between him and Jace, they were able to pull out a lot of the information straight from the game, from Starflight 1 and Starflight 2. So we had all that information all together, and basically just kind of set everything in the game. Like the Class 1 laser does 90 points of damage in the RPG. The reason why it does that is because that's how much it did in the original games. We try to be as true to the original games as we possibly could, and a lot of that information was actually in the games themselves. So, yeah, pulling that information out was fun. It took about a month or two of work to do all that.
So is that how in the game, the original video game, is that how things were organized? Like as far as lasers and other just equipment in general, it was like on a class level thing. So you'd have like a Class 1 laser, Class 2.
Yeah. Let me see. That was all in. I think it's all in Chapter 6. Yeah. Here we go. No, Chapter.
Yeah, because that was the thing that I noticed in reading through this, is like a lot of RPGs. They'll have like an equipment section, right? And they have like big pictures of the guns and like some sort of a description of, like some made up history or whatever, some just like flavor text about a weapon. And then they give like stats for it or whatever. So, it'd be like, well, your M16, combat rifle is, manufactured by, Mattel Toy Division, and and it shoots this type of thing and a little bit of history, and then and it does X D6 of damage or whatever. But for the weapons in here, it's pretty much just like, well, a Mark 1 laser does this and a Mark 2 laser does that, but it's not really into like the cultural aspect of it. It's like, I know that I have a Mark II laser, but it's kind of like you leave it up to the player to determine anything else about it.
Yeah, I do tend to leave a lot of decisions up to the GM and to the players, as far as specifics like manufacture and stuff like that. But that's the way it was in the original Starflight game. Of course, this dating back to 1986. And this game in its entirety was fit on 2 low-density floppy disks, so it couldn't have been more than a meg and a half total. So you didn't really have all that much additional space for like flavor text and that sort of thing. So I just kind of left it that way to try and capture some of that feel maybe a little bit. As far as the information is concerned, though, I mean that is pulled straight from the hex code. So like a Class 2 laser will do 210 points of damage. That's how much it actually did in the game.
Yeah. I'm looking at like if you get a game like Star Frontiers or Traveler, the other space opera games, and so much of the size of the book is actually devoted to art and to like flavor text stuff and that. And you've got like 1,000 pages of stuff here, and it's kind of minimal art and minimal flavor stuff. It's all explanation of mechanics. So there's a heck of a lot of beef here, you know. Not a lot of bun. There's a lot of beef. So that's I find that pretty interesting though, because it's like if you did expand it out and like dress it up like the stuff that you normally find hardcover on the shelf at the hobby shop, then the thing would be like maybe 5,000 pages. So
yeah.
it's yeah.
I mean, I was trying to cram as much information about the universe as I could into a single volume, and that's getting the universe. I know that my playtester didn't. The person I normally have who helps me playtest my games, a guy by the name of Mike Andrews, he didn't have a clue what Starflight was before we got started with it. Of course, then he got in. I kept on describing it to him, and he said, "Okay, let's go ahead and do this. Yeah, let's play. Yeah, let's get it. I demand that you get an adventure going." I was like, "Mike, I still have 3 more chapters to write."
Well, that's the fascinating thing about it, because the Starflight universe, even though, like you said, it was on both games were pretty much on 2 low density floppies, if I recall, and yet they put so much in there.
They did,
and yet they left so much to the imagination. And if I liked as I was reading the book, it's like you captured that same feeling, like you put a lot in there, but at the same time, how it all works out in a game is up to the player, which is awesome. And it's kind of funny because the Wing Commander RPG, it's like you want to add all this flavor text. Well, now you've got this 1,200 book page tome with 3 expansions. So that's kind of what you're doing with the
one on the way. Yeah.
Oh yeah, what's the one that you're working on right now?
That is called an Elegy for Savar. It is actually the first 3 expansions are, one's an individual mission, the other 2 are little small campaigns. Elegy is actually going to be a full-on campaign setting.
Oh.
So I've got that set in the Epsilon sector just before the events of Wing Commander Prophecy, the last one on the set where we meet the bugs for the first time, the Nephilim. It's going to be centered on an event that's mentioned in the Prophecy manual. About I forget what this guy's name is. He's a Kilrathi pirate. His name's Blood Eye. Basically, you're going to be working for his group. That's if you follow the main campaign. Now, I'm trying to set it up to where you don't necessarily have to play that campaign. You can just use the setting if you want to play with it. And I'm hoping to capture a lot of the feel of Privateer with that one.
Ooh, nice. And wait, is this one a little more Kilrathi focused, or am I thinking of another one?
This one is the one that's going to be Kilrathi focused.
Right.
If it all turns out as I intend, I've already got the all the places set up. I've got all the encounter tables set up already. Right now, I'm working on ships, and it's going to have pretty much a mix of everything. I'm going to have a little bit of Landreich in there, some of the stuff from Wing Commander 1, some from Wing Commander 2. I've even got a couple of them. There are a couple ships in there that are actually going to be up and coming in the Star Citizen universe, just kind of making a little bit of crossover there.
That's funny.
I figured why not. I mean, for 5 minutes back in 2010, every Wing Commander fan on the planet thought that Chris Roberts was going to make Wing Commander again.
Yeah.
So in your lore, how do you explain away the naked Kilrathi in the movie? Is that some disease that they had, or?
I don't think it covers the movie. Am I right about that?
It does not.
Yeah.
I actually, as far as the Kilrathi in the movie, I refer to Star Soldier, which is the manual for Wing Commander Arena. Basically, just says they're a type of breed of Kilrathi. They're hairlesses. That's probably the best explanation I go with, and that's fine with me.
Wow, there's actually something.
I've seen those hairless cats, man. They're kind of evil looking, just all on their own.
Yeah.
So wait, there's something actually in one of the manuals. I should know this. There's something in one of the manuals that mentions hairless Korathi.
Yes, there is. Wing Commander Arena, one for the Xbox back in 2007.
Oh, that one. I've never
Yeah,
played that one. I didn't have an
I haven't played that
Xbox.
one either.
Neither's anybody else.
Yeah,
Yeah, did anyone play that one?
there
There's
are a
that
lot of
one guy.
there are
Probably.
people on the CIC site who have played it. Actually, played it recently, as far as I know.
Wow. Oh,
I've always kind of wanted to play it, but my understanding is that it's so much different from the other ones that it's really.
I can't.
It's as different as Wing Commander 1 and Galaxians, I
Yeah,
think.
I
pretty
can't
much.
imagine playing Wing Commander on a console. I mean, I got when I first got my PS3, I saw that there was a PSN store version of Wing Commander 4, which is my favorite one. I'm like,
Mm.
oh my god, Wing Commander 4 on a TV, that would be great. No,
Oh,
not really, because it didn't use the analog sticks,
yep,
and
it,
so that was awful.
yep.
I wanted to cut my neck with the controller, which would have been
Commander
slow.
R4 was hard enough with the regular joystick, and that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Um,
so
Great game.
RPG design wise,
Uh-huh.
did you have any kind of balance issues with this thing? Or because you were drawing from the source material of what was actually in the game, it was already pre-balanced?
For the Wing Commander one.
Yeah, like as far as
Uh,
combat and stuff, because it's like I've written a role-playing game myself, like about 20 years ago, and it was a science fiction thing too. But some problems that I had, like I went with a D20 system, but I didn't really like. I've always been really bothered in like Dungeons and Dragons where you have like a dagger does a D4, and then you get somebody that's got a couple levels on them, and they've got like 40 hit points. So it's like at best I have to stab you about 15 times before
yeah.
you feel it, and it's just like it's ridiculous. So I actually kind of lifted the thing. There was this old role playing game called Cult, and you would have a damage bonus to a weapon, and then it was like a d20 roll, and then it gave ranges about, if you rolled like a 1 to a 5, it's going to be a minor wound, and if you roll like, a 5 to a 12, then it's a medium wound, and that kind of thing. So then you have like how many light wounds, how many medium wounds you can take, and if you take more light wounds than you have capacity for, like it would be 4, your fifth light wound is actually a medium. It kind of promotes up. Um, and I tried doing that, but I found out that my combat system was so freaking deadly that nobody really liked playing the game because it was kind of like realistic. It's like, oh, I got shot. Oh, well, I'm out. you know, that's the end for me. I'll be laying on the ground twitching. Um, so it was kind of like trying to find a balance between keeping it fun and keeping it not be silly. Where everybody could be a bullet sponge.
I kind of on the personal on the character scale combat level, I did kind of leave it to where it was. There were different types of different types of weapons you can buy, different strengths. You get a halfway decent. You get a light weapon. Yeah, you might be able to take a hit or two from that thing before you bite the bucket, or bite the bullet. Get a stronger weapon against you. No, you can take only one hit and you're dead. I think that's the balance there was that the stronger weapons, of course, cost more and might not necessarily be an effect that you wanted to have happen.
Yeah, well, like on a class for let's say like a laser,
Yeah.
and then you got class like 1 to 10 or whatever. What is actually like something that you would wear on your hip as a pistol? Is that like class 1, 2, like class 3 is a little too big for that, or is that all ambiguous?
I've kind of deliberately left that ambiguous. Generally, if it's something like one-handed, if it's a one-handed weapon, then that's generally something that you would probably wear on your hip. And that's like for the laser guns. That would be like the first through fifth class. And the fifth class laser can do enough damage to kill a person outright. It can also still take a hit or two. Depending on your armor and stuff like that, there is armor and shielding in the game you can wear, and that helps mitigate some of that damage, of course.
Yeah. So how does your armor work? Is it is it ablative armor where the armor takes the first X points of damage and then it goes through to the player, or does it have like a reduction, but stuff will go through it? Like, let's say, it takes the first 10 points, but then anything else blows through.
Um, if I it's been a while since I've worked with the character skill stuff. I think, if I remember right, the armor has so much hit points of its own. Whenever you get hit, a certain amount. Well, it will stop a certain amount, and then beyond that certain amount, it will pass on damage to the player as non-lethal hit points, and it's possible to get your armor blown off if it has to absorb too much damage. I think that's how that worked. It's been a while since I've worked with the character scale stuff.
Yeah, what's the stuff that you're in development with now? Is it like the spaceship stuff mainly, or
Spaceship stuff? Yeah, predominantly is spaceships. I feel building some new stuff for LOG. Like I'm going to be building some craft for the Ferekin people from Special Operations. No, it wasn't Special Operations. It was Secret Missions 2, I think. The second of the Wing Commander 1 expansions. I can never remember the title exactly because they're all.
That was Special Operations 2, wasn't it, or something? Secret Missions or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. The Ferekin people, they're gonna be in elegy. They're gonna have their own ships.
Nice.
They're gonna be, pretty awesome. Working on those. Still need to come up with stats for them. And then of course, converting some of this stuff and rebalancing. Like I had to bring the original Hornet up to snuff to where it could still be competitive, I guess. Because it's 35 plus years since the original Wing Commander. So, but the Landrak's still using them, so they kind of have to be, halfway decent as a fighter. And they're still outclassed, of course, but.
I do have to say. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, well, I noticed in the book you've got like races that were in the Wing Commander cartoon, and
yes.
Stuff that was mentioned just very briefly in the game, and that. So does that mean, like, as a research project, you had to like find and sit through every episode of the cartoon and furiously take notes, and then like play the games end to end and try to take notes of like every cutscene that happened and all the dialogue and everything?
It's not necessarily everything, but yeah, I did have to sit through and watch the cartoons. At the time, the cartoons were freely available from the CIC website. Now, of course, they've been redistributed through Amazon recently on DVD, and you can go ahead and buy them. So you can't actually get them off of the CIC website anymore, but you can't. They are still available. There was that. I also had to sit through the original Bane novels. All the William R. Fortune novels. We went ahead and did a complete read through of those just to take notes and stuff. Significant events that happened. Of course, Freedom Flight by Mercedes Lackey. That was the very first one. Had to do that one too. Later on, went ahead and did the Peter Tellep novels, the ones that from the movie. Because I was interested in some of the information about the Pilgrims, and that was actually after the game went to print. So I do have a very small number of inconsistencies, as it turns out. I think maybe like I had the name of their ship wrong. That's really been the only thing I've seen wrong there. The RPG doesn't completely discount the movie, but it doesn't really include it either, because I just simply didn't have that kind of information available to me about the movie.
But basically,
yeah.
The role-playing game at this point is kind of the definitive source book for all the Wing Commander like background material, and like who's who and what the races are and their motivations and that.
Yeah, it's fairly definitive. I also would suggest the WCpedia site. WCnews.com/WCpedia. That actually has some of the details that I glossed over. And it's a pretty good resource of information. I used it an awful lot whenever I was building the RPG.
And I just wanted to say, I read through all of the Wing Commander and Starflight one, and Well, I have a couple questions. One, I mean, I was reading, how to play the game, and it's to me, reading it, it seems complicated.
Hmm.
There's a lot of stuff, but how did it play test? Like, how does it play out? Did it play much more efficiently than it might seem to me just by reading the book? Because the book is like, oh my god, I'll admit.
Yeah, and I kind of want to lump into that because I was going to ask something that's kind of similar.
Hmm.
But I look at the systems that are in here, and where it's like, okay, I have a skill. Well, first off, I'm going to have a dice roll, and that's a percentage, and then there's a difficulty target that I have to hit with that, and then there's also modifiers both ways, right? So, like if I have skill that modifies my percentage chance to succeed, then I add that number, and then if whatever I'm trying to apply this skill to, say it's a person that's actively resisting, then it's going to have their modifiers subtracted from it, and
Hmm.
and then if you have like attribute bonuses and things like that, that's going to get added in on both sides, and it just seems like, boy, there's going to be a lot of math go on for like
Hmm.
every time somebody pulls the trigger. So does that kind of slow things down, or once you kind of know what those are going to be, then combat speeds along? Because that was another problem I had in my game, was like the more reality I tried to build into it was like it really kind of chugged the game. So finally, I ended up like jettisoning about three-quarters of what I had for modifiers and stuff.
Um, it does take some getting used to with the system, and there is a lot of math involved. But I find that if you can get a lot of it taken care of ahead of time, that combat actually moves pretty quickly. I know we did some practice dogfights prior to the release of WCRPG back in when was that? About 2013. A guy, a former member on the CIC site, and we sat down and we actually did a couple of combat missions. Played through a mission from Wing Commander 3,
Hmm.
and we actually did it as the RPG. And we once we had all the numbers crunched, we were able to sit down and say, okay, the Blair is going to go ahead and attack this Drawfee. Let's roll the dice. Roll the dice. Okay, we check the table. Yes, he hits. Okay, and then how many times does he hit? He hits 6 times. Okay, can he go boom? And we got to the point where we were able to do 2 or 3 scenarios in an hour. So
Oh,
it,
that's
it
not too
does take
bad.
it does take some getting used to. But
Yeah.
once you are used to the combat system, once you're used to the way it works, it actually goes along pretty smoothly. In my experience, anyway.
My next thing I wanted to say, I mean that I've not I wish I had a group that I could play this with. That's I wish I could like try this out. But I like I think I read the chapters on vehicles in both books maybe twice each because you went into so much loving detail on every vehicle you put in there. I was blown away, honestly. How did you get all? I mean, was it through various sources like you were talking about, like the books and the show and everything? How did you get all that detail for these things, for the
A
ships and
lot of
everything?
a lot of it was remembering the games, and going to WCpedia, finding all the information out. Um, I compared a lot of source material actually,
Right.
because I had I have claw marks, I have stuff from, I have the original blueprints, I have information from the CIC website. Gathered up all that information, said, okay, let's see what this. We got all the information. This is what this fighter can do. Um, okay, let's go ahead and see what I've got in my engine that'll make it do it. About the only thing there about the only thing in either engine that was 100% on my own was the accessories, and I was just coming up with stuff. Okay, this accessory will let this craft do that. That was just pretty much stuff that came up as it was necessary. Um, but yeah, that took a lot of research. trying to remember. I don't exactly remember just exactly how long I was working specifically just on ships, but it was a while.
Yeah, I can imagine because, like I said, it's probably one. It felt like it's one of the larger sections of either book.
Mhm.
Was the ships.
And one of the real big things that I wanted to be able to do with the RPGs is I wanted it to where I wanted the system to be robust enough to where if somebody wanted to create their own thing, that they could turn around and create their own thing and actually have it set, in that universe. I mean, if you want to sit there and take the Battlestar Galactica and just play it in with the Wing Commander system, you can. There's literally enough stuff there that you can go ahead and take, Galactica and sit it in the system and play it that way. It'd kind of be a weird crossover, but yeah, you could do it. You know, or Serenity or any of the other sci-fi stuff. That was a goal that I had with the RPGs, and I think I did a pretty good job with it. I don't think I
So,
covered everything, but
do you have like a vehicle construction system in here so that
Mhm.
if I want to just convert something over, then there's like some sane rules to follow, or is it just kind of up to the GM to say, well, this is what I think these ought to be, and plug some numbers in?
Chapter 6.2. In I think it's both of them actually. Um, has the rules for creating and modifying vehicles from scratch. And then the three subchapters that follow that talk about the various chassis that you can build a vehicle on. Then there's one that talks about who's using it, can be like if it's going to be a commercial ship or if it's going to be military. And then the one after that is a listing of all the equipment that you can put on a vehicle. And then the next chapter, there's the same thing again, except that's specifically for capital ships, for like battle cruisers and destroyers and stuff like that, starships. And it has a whole separate list.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, there's a full system there for creating this
It's
stuff from
it's it's
scratch.
it's Jim. It's marvelous. It's
Oh, okay,
absolutely.
groovy.
If you're a spaceship nut like I am, it's almost porn. Really, it's almost like it's almost like a romance novel, but for spaceships. It's just that crazy. It's that like oh god.
So how does spaceship combat, since that's what you've been working on lately,
Mhm.
how does spaceship combat play out? Is it sort of an abstracted thing, where you have an option to just say, well, as the GM, you guys are here and the enemies are about this range, so start rolling dice, or is it actually more toward a hex or a square grid kind of
I
thing,
actually,
and would it bring miniatures in real easy?
I actually have it set up to where you could do either or. I have rules in there that if you want to use a hex grid, you could. Abstract grid, you could. If you want to play it with, and if you want to play it like a first edition, like Final Fantasy One, you could do it that way. Um, you can do it where everybody resolves their stuff at the same time. You can do it where everybody does it in turns. The thing is that I've left that as a GM level decision, where the GM can sit down with the players, say, let's go ahead and set up how would you guys like to go ahead and set up a combat for the campaign, and say, okay, well, we'll do it this way. We can do it this way. We'll do it this way. And once everybody's agreed on that, those are the rules you use. And
Hmm.
so
Okay.
it can be very complex. It can be very simple.
So
I even have.
whenever
Mhm.
Well, whenever combat's playing out, because characters, you have X number of hit points and then you fall over. But as far
Mhm.
as ships, do you get into the complexity of like how systems get damaged, and you could lose this, but you still have that, and as long as life support still works and there's a couple points of hull left, we're okay.
Yeah. That actually, yeah, you do get into that. Once you get past, I think it's concurrent with armor damage. That okay, you take so many hits here, you do get, you do wind up taking some systems damage in the process, and you can lose your guns, you can lose your missiles, shields, and all that. I even have a rule set up where if you critical botch, your guns jam, you can't use them at all, or that usually just is one gun at a time on that one, because it kind of gets sucky if you can't shoot at the other guy, but that is in there. And you can affect you can use some of your actions to affect some minor repairs during combat if you have to.
Wait, how do you do that?
Hmm?
How do you do repairs, like you said?
It's an action. I think it's oh gosh,
So you're
I know
basically
it's in
like
here.
you're basically like Grig back there taking out circuit boards and stuff and trying to jury rig stuff to fix it.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, that, and you can also have like repair droids and stuff like that. I remember those from Privateer, that you could buy a repair droid
Oh
and have it.
yeah,
Yep, and it would be sitting there working while you were still getting hammered by Kilrathi. Yeah,
yeah, I remember that. I had one of
most
those
So do
on
you
my.
have any?
Oh,
Do you have
sorry.
anybody that's actually generating like modules for this? You know, adventures and whatnot, or because I'm wondering like where if I was going to GM this, like where would I jump in? You know, it's like, oh well, all of you guys meet at a bar, and one of you happens to own a ship. You know, or what? Or I mean, you could go. It would naturally lend itself toward a military campaign, right? And that way, everybody
yeah,
gets a fighter for free from the government. Um,
yeah.
you know, but it's where do you draw from as far as like, well, we do things other than fly fighters, you know, and where else do characters go to get into trouble?
So far, I haven't really done too much along non-military lines. Elegy is hoping. I'm hoping to be able to rectify that with Elegy, to where you can play as a civilian. You know, you can go try and get your grandpa's old Tarsus out of the scrap heap. Uh, but yeah, the three modules that are currently existing, you got Prelude, you got Enyo, and you got Vespus. Those three are all military. Um, Prelude actually includes a light version of the rules, so you can just kind of jump in and grab that whole thing. Same with Enyo and Vespus. So
So
yeah,
this
I'm still working on modules.
this new privateer ish
Mm-hmm.
module. They're going to be ships from privateer, like the Orion and the Centaurian and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yay! I love those ships.
Paradigm.
I even love the what was the first one? Was that the Tarsus? Was that what the first one
Tarsus,
was?
yeah, Tarsus was the very first one.
Yeah.
That one, okay, I think that one is not in, but
I have a soft spot for that ship. I really do.
it's a good ship.
Everyone else hates it, but I don't know. It got me out of a lot of scrapes before I could afford something better and just discarded it. But no, that sounds odd. Now you're not including anything from Privateer 2, right? Please tell me.
No, no,
Ah,
no. Now,
phew.
caveat there: Privateer 2 material is in WCRPG, because it is.
I
There
know.
are people there who do consider it part of the Wing Commander universe, so I did go ahead and add it. So you can do Privateer 2 if you want to in the WCRPG, but you know, nothing like that in LG.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Because Privateer 2 is terrible. I think, anyway.
It's been a long time since I played it. I just remembered, the thing I remember about Privateer 2, and this may have just been the system setup I had, is that whenever the pirates were sitting there and insulting you, you know, trying to kill you, they were talking with a male voice. Whenever they died, they always screamed out like a girl. They screamed out in a woman's voice. They were like, "Ah!"
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of asked that question a couple of years ago on the CIC board. Why was that? And I think it was from some. I don't remember who said it, but it was somebody said extremely good shooting.
Nice. I actually was playing some of it recently, and wow, it's just bad. Though I'm told the deluxe edition is better. Yeah,
I'll take your word for that because it's been a long time since I've touched Privateer 2.
yeah. Don't. I mean, it's on GOG now,
Mm-hmm.
so you could get it if you want it for like $6. But yeah, let's not kid ourselves. It's not good.
If I did get it, probably wait for a sale. You can get most of them, all the Wing Commander games on GOG now, I think.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
all the PC ones are on there now, and I'm not sure if they all have all of their content packs.
yeah.
I think they do. But I'm not 100%. Like they didn't at first. Like Privateer didn't have Righteous Fire,
Mhm.
and the Wing Commander 1 and 2 they didn't have their mission discs. I don't think at first, but I think they've been added since. There's some weird licensing thing or something. But yeah, they're all on there now. Armada, Academy, they're all on there now. Even the weird ones.
Even the weird ones.
So, so you actually played, going back to Starflight a bit, because I don't talk to a lot of people who played the original. Like you said, it's hard to find people who played the original. You played it when it came out?
A few years after it came out. Was actually introduced to it by my dad's boss at the time.
Oh wow!
He had a kid who played the game. It was actually 1989, the first time I played the original Starflight.
Oh wow!
I played it. I was in a mall in Wichita, Kansas, the week later, and the Radio Shack was demoing Wing Commander 2. I'm not Wing Commander 2, Starflight 2. So it was a few years after the original Starflight came out that I finally played it. But yeah, it was the original PC version, glorious CGA color.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I got it. I got it at I got it at a Radio Shack. That's where I got it too.
Yep.
With my Tandy 1000EX. Oh, remember Tandy?
Oh
Yeah, Radio Shack used to be, the place to get video games.
It
man.
was.
How the mighty have fallen. Now I can get a cell phone case.
Yep.
Or
I think Radio Shack was over, man, when the vacuum tube tester cabinet left. Then they were dead to me.
like apparently you can't even get like those little component little thingies anymore. You can't like if you needed a specific thing to tie these two cables together and have them go into one jack, you can go to the Radio Shack and they had it, but apparently now they don't even do that. Apparently it's all like cell phones and iPads now.
I miss the old days.
I do. No, I'm with you, man. I do. There's something about this. Okay, this is gonna sound weird. There's something about the smell of those old computer stores, like a mix of plastic and cardboard. It just came together with all those
beardy old men.
and beardy old men with those big boxes.
Yep.
Those old games came in. There's just or if you're EA like Starflight, those little thin record like 45 record size whatever the hell that was.
Yep.
Like every EA game came in one of those, didn't they, back in the day? Like just about everyone.
Pretty much, yeah.
When EA actually made good stuff. So you've done Starflight, you've done Wing Commander. If you had your druthers, what would be the next classic space game you would convert?
I had strongly considered doing an RPG for the Star Control universe.
Ooh.
I had strongly considered that, but my wife has made it abundantly clear the next one I do, I get paid. That's the thing about these ones is that I have made exactly no dollars.
Really?
On either one of these two games. Yeah, it was kind of a condition for their release, because I could go ahead and print them, post them, do whatever I wanted to with them, as long as I didn't make a profit on them. Which is why the PDFs are free. Those are 100% free download. Anybody can get them anytime they want to from Lulu.com. But the next one I would like to do Star Control. I might also would really, if I could, maybe one of these days do one for Star Citizen.
Ooh.
But that one I'm going to have to get a little bit more information about before I can even touch it. And actually, I did get some preliminary work done on the Star Control one, but until my wife caught me at it, and that was the end of that. Yeah.
So is this like your primary job, making RPGs?
It is not. I work for the University of Oklahoma. That's my paying job.
I see.
This is my hobby, actually, is the RPGs. Work on them on my breaks.
It's kind of a fascinating hobby.
Yeah.
Do you teach or what?
What?
What do you teach?
I work at the library there. My official title is the Catalog Maintenance Supervisor. Basically, it means I have to, make sure everything gets to where it's going.
So you're like master of the Dewey Decimals.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
The Dewey Decimal.
Dewey Decimal. LC. No.
Did they keep the card catalog out of a sense of nostalgia, or are they all gone?
They kept it up until about 6 months ago, and then they
Wow,
finally
that recently.
that recently. Yeah. Well, it's because they have a bunch of people that didn't trust their online catalog for good reason because nobody really knew how to work it in the early going. So it was actually considered a uh, more accurate reflection of our early catalog than the online catalog. And we got a new dean not too long ago, and we've for 10 years the time I've been there. I mean, they say, don't mess up the card catalog, don't mess up the card catalog, don't mess up the card catalog. He said, comes in there, he says, pitch it, and poof, it went away.
Wow.
So do you have to avoid stores like Barnes and Noble? Because if you go in there and you see like a book that's out of order on the shelf, you just get like OCD and cringe.
No, I don't have to do anything like that.
It's
No.
not his responsibility. So,
That's not. No, shelving is not my responsibility. No, just the catalog is.
so now you maintain the online catalog.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
It's funny. Like the last time I was at the L.A. Public Library a year or so ago, they still had a bunch of those old card catalogs there, even though they have a fully computerized catalog now.
A lot of libraries do keep them for the sake of nostalgia, and for the older researchers. There's some people who can't handle that new fandangled technology. Yeah.
But you're at a university, so you probably don't have that issue.
Uh, we do have it to an extent. We still have folks who try to look up stuff on microforms, like microfilm, microfiche, things that have been obsolete for 30 years. We still have collections and people who still try to use them. Yeah.
That's weird. The stream just went to. Oh, there it goes. It just stopped.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
weird.
so-
Sorry.
That's okay.
It's acting funny. I don't know if it's my internet, but it just stopped for
Okay.
a short time. That was weird. Sorry, folks.
Oh,
The
no.
stream is acting strange tonight. Apologize for that. I don't know what to do about it. But okay, so yeah, so if you so I asked you about the licensed one. So I guess your next RPG is going to be an original then?
Yeah. If I can't do Star Controller or Star Citizen, I'll probably go ahead and try to do another one of Anacostia. I have made a few changes to that universe over the years. I've the second edition was really kind of clunky. So I've learned a lot over the last 11 years or
Wait,
so.
I'm sorry. What is it called?
Anacostia.
Anacostia?
Yeah. Yeah, the story behind that is I got the name from the Washington D.C. metro system actually.
Yeah.
So there's a space station. There's a railway station there called Anacostia along the Anacostia River, and I always kind of like the sound of the name of it. And I had this big space station that I designed back in 1993, and that was the name I eventually gave it. But yeah, that's my own stuff. And if I did another RPG, it'd probably be based on that system. It'd probably be based on that universe.
I'm not finding it on Google anywhere, unless I'm
Yeah, you won't
spelling
find
wrong.
it. You won't find it anywhere. The site that stuff was originally on was on GeoCities, and
Wow.
yeah, that's how old it is. So I would be doing some significant revisions there as well.
Oh wow, that's
So what old RPGs have D, right? So
Pretty much everybody's done D&D. Second edition, the West End version, Star Wars. I've done that one.
is that the
I've done
D6 one still?
Yeah, that's the D6 one. Yeah.
Okay.
I've done some stuff with GURPS with the space module. Done some of that. Those pretty much have been the main ones as far as sci-fi RPGs go. I did take a look at the third edition Star Wars one. That was the one that's basically D&D third edition, but set in the Star Wars universe. D20 based.
Huh.
I have done that one. Um, I have looked at not necessarily an RPG, but I've taken a look at Battlefleet Gothic. Played that a little bit. In fact, the whole combat system that I based the start of the combat system for the start,
Mm.
was based on an idea I had to try and be able to play Battlefleet Gothic without the models, because I had the rules but not any of the models. So
Hmm.
yeah, didn't want to shell out that much money for a little dinky fleet, especially if nobody was going to play with me.
No, that totally
Yeah, that's
makes
always been
sense.
my problem with those games is like they cost an inordinate amount of money, and
Yeah,
then it's like, oh gosh, now I got to find like a group of players for this thing. So, and I'm even having trouble with Federation Commander. You know, the kind of like low fidelity version of Starfleet battles.
yeah,
And like, God forbid, try to find somebody that plays Starfleet battles around here.
oh yeah.
But even that,
I
it's
mean,
like because I bought the whole set, and it's like
yeah,
awesome. Hey, I just stuck a link in the chat for you guys. It's actually to the Star Frontiers game that TSR did back in the day, and it's a digital remaster of it. They're all free PDFs you can download,
Ooh.
which is pretty great. I cut my space teeth on Star Frontiers. It was pretty great. There's a race that's actually like a space amoeba that they're just like a blob, and they can grow limbs when they need them and stuff. They're pretty cool. Yeah, so it was it's TSR, so it's D&D in space, sorta,
yeah.
but it does have a D% mechanic system and everything, which is kind of cool. I would say like my favorite RPG of all time is Skyrealms of Jarun. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Never even heard
Um,
of it.
yeah, it's oh god, it's awesome. There was a video game for it as well.
What?
Back in the mid '90s, it was like a side-scrolling adventure thing that was not good, not good at all. But the
Skyrealms of Jorn?
Jorune, J O
Jaroon. Oh
R
yeah,
U N
Jaroon.
E,
I see it. Okay.
yeah, the art in that is just absolutely amazing, and it was Miles Teves, however you say his name, and I forget the other guy that were in it, and they've since moved on to big money Hollywood stuff, but that was their original uh, like thing together, was making that, and it came out in so many different versions of it. The original, it was like a box set. It had kind of three real thin books in it, but the story was basically that humanity, we sent our first colony ship to this planet, and it would be like Pandora and Avatar, right? We sent our ship and it went there, but there's some sort of electromagnetic field around the planet that screws up spaceships, so it crashed, and the survivors of that encounter the native life, and there's other races that are on the planet as well who had also come there and crashed, and they're survivors of their own crashes, and it's just kind of how humanity tries to get a foothold there, and then we go to war against the indigenous population, and it turns into germ warfare where we actually murder them, and there's like a few that are left, but this field around the planet is actually it gives people magical powers, some people, and it mutates them. So you sort of have wizards in this, except that it's a planetary field that does it. So then they have like weather systems that are based on the 9 moons of the planet, and which moons are waxing and waning is which kind of magics are more powerful that day, and just crazy stuff. Yeah, it's awesome to read
Yeah,
it. I'll have to see if there's something online to read about that, because
I remember the video game now called Alien Logic.
yep, that's it.
I remember seeing that in the store. I've never played it though, but it looks pretty nifty.
The game's not good.
Oh,
All the background material and everything. I will say even the game system of the old game is not really that good. But all the background material, basically, what I'd really love to see is somebody take all of that source material, convert it over to something that's sane, that's a D20 system, and it would be beautiful.
hmm.
Hmm.
Well, since we're throwing them out there, my favorite RPG system that I've ever played is Heavy Gear,
Oh
which
yeah, that's a
is
good one.
which is the mecha, Terra Nova type, mecha RPG with a miniature system. So good. I love mechas that can use swords and knives. It kills me. Such
That's
a
an important one.
What was that?
I left out an important one that I just remembered that I played. Traveler, the original Traveler. You guys,
I
uh,
have never played that. Someone sent me some of the books to read,
mm,
and they're crazy. Is that the one where you could die while you're creating a character? Like your character
it
can.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's an Apple game that came out in like the
Mm-hmm.
late '70s called Space
Mm-hmm.
that used like the exact same system. Like it was so close that I think they got sued by
Yep.
the Traveler people. But yeah, I had like four characters die while they were in training.
While they were in training. Yep. Yep. Always annoying.
So yeah, I've never actually played the pen and paper role playing game, and I've played like some weird, unlicensed computer offshoot of it. It was just really strange, but kind of awesome at the same time. So many good role playing games out there, though. I wish they would take more of them and make them into computer games. Because I mean, Steven, do you have a group around you that you can play RPGs with? Because I don't. I wish I
I, I,
did.
I have a very small group, just no more than two players. But it's better than having nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried playing online? Because I know there are a good deal of people that do use like tabletop simulators and stuff like that to play online, which seems kind of defeating the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't actually tried an online group. I have heard of folks who do try to play stuff online. People who like using the Vassal engine and that sort of thing. But yeah, I haven't actually checked them out pretty at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That just seems like really cold to me. Like, let's play over the phone.
Yeah.
Or that's what it seems like to me anyway. Well, this seems like a good time to wrap it up because I'm getting a little tired and rambly.
Yeah, I've got my wife's tried to call me a couple times saying, "Oh, yeah, I want to bring the kids home."
Oh, sorry.
No, 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 not a big deal. Not a big deal.
But,
I just
but, but Steven, it was a real pleasure to talk to you because I was very excited to find out about these RPGs. And folks, I'll put the link in the show, in the episode post. But you can just go to lulu.com and look up Steven Rogers, and his stuff will come up. And the PDFs are all free. They're
mhm.
definitely worth a read. And if you like them, buy the books because the books, the printed versions, they will look nice on your shelf if nothing else. But you'll want to sit there on the can like I did and read them because they're definitely good. They're definitely great reading. Even if you never play the games, just having that source material available just to read and enjoy is just a delight. It's like even of the universe right there. A little guide. So it's awesome, even in that respect. So, Stephen, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
And thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's been a real pleasure. And Jim, thank you for being awesome co-host as always. Have a good night, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.